Hello friends, I'm here in the morning at the dojo. We had great classes again last night, and we were thinking about what kind of practices can we do at home to enhance our training. One of them, if you're stuck in quarantine, you're getting depressed because you're by yourself, is this sword cutting that we can do. It's good to get the blood flowing in the morning. It's good for your shoulders, your joints, your overall health, get your breathing up. It's just a great drill. Don't worry with this drill about the specific names. If Japanese scares you, then just use English names. Whatever stance, whatever kamae that you take, don't worry about the names of those. Now, the problem is you might develop bad habits with this, and that's why you need an instructor so that we can slow each cut down so that you can get the precision. You don't overcut, you don't leave targets open. But for now, this is just a warm-up that I do constantly, almost every day, and often before a class, especially a sword class, to get my joints moving. So let's get right into it. Some people call this shihogiri, hapogiri, 8 directional cuts, 4 directional cuts, 9 directional cuts. Some people argue, depending on your school and style, no, there are 10 directions. It really doesn't matter. That's all politics. Leave that out. This is just about getting our blood flowing. And this is a great drill to do solo. I recommend using a iaito, or a non-sharp blade, or a boken, a wooden sword. Even a shinai would do, although you really want something with some weight to it, like a saburito, something heavier, like a piece of pipe or PVC. Although you're not getting the same physics of the sword, it still will build your muscles and get your shoulders built up and stuff like that. Don't use a shinken, don't use a sharp blade, because you never know if children are around or if your cat sneaks up on you or your dog and you're swinging. You can injure someone pretty badly even with a non-sharp sword, so be careful what you use. Make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. That's why I recommend going outside in the woods or something. That way we can get some healthy vitamin D, right? So getting outside in the sun. I just happen to be here in the morning in the dojo. Taking out your katana, again, doesn't matter which kamae that you choose. You might want to start in daijodan, which is a typical kamae, or jodan no kamae, haso no kamae. You could do a waki, side no kamae. You could be on the left side with seigan, chudan. You could be here in kongo, you could be in ichi, doesn't matter. You should be able to try to do these. That's the challenge for you at home, is to do these cuts with every stance you can think of, left and right side, because one side is going to feel very awkward. If I'm a right-handed person, most of the cuts are going to come from the right. But these gyaku side, the left side here, the hidari side, all of these cuts that we practice will feel very awkward at first. That's normal. The goal is to eventually make left and right ambidextrously comfortable. So from here, the first one is this downward cut. Use your legs. As you cut down with the sword, make sure that you change distance down with your cut. Try not to, I see some schools that just stand with their legs in cement and they just do this. And that's fine for your upper body movement, but you're not getting the true cut of the curve of the sword. You're not changing your distance. Your groin is wide open. All of your vital targets are toward the opponent. You have no balance backwards. So I do not recommend these standing still horse stance cuts. I recommend as if you're in armor. So use your footwork to change like a chessboard. You want to change your square forward, backwards, diagonally, these naname movements, so that you're constantly moving so the opponent can't catch up with you. So if I'm back here, I want to make sure that I bend my left knee and step when I cut so that I can close and scare the opponent or make the final blow. So that's just a downward cut. Some call this tento. There's many names for it. Heavenly cut, menuchi, a lot of different names. A joke, a downward cut. The next cut is a diagonal cut. So you think of this right to left diagonal, this kesagiri here. Left and right, down on the opponent, cutting from shoulder to hip, right along the line of your gi at home. It's called, some call it kesagiri, or this downward cut. You call it naname giri, migi naname, hidari naname. Again, the names aren't important. From here, stepping through, cutting on the opponent. And then, of course, work on your left side here, cutting. Bend your knees, take your time. You could close your eyes, putting the sword directly into the cut. Relaxing and breathing out as you cut. So you have the downward and the diagonals. Now we go across the opponent. This horizontal cut. Yokogiri, or some call it ichimonji-giri. Again, there's 3 or 4 different names. Doesn't matter. Use English. Side cut. So from here. Breathing out, cutting across the body. Here, right or left, to the opponent. Here. Cross. Try not to do this with your sword. A lot of people bring it back, then forward. Back, then forward. That's good for movies, for filming, because it looks great. Camera picks up all the nice shines. But start in Hasso, or wherever you're going to start, and go forward with your cut, leaving no openings for the opponent. It's a smaller circle cut. Again, this looks great on film. Yeah, back here. But the more precise of a swordsman I notice is he or she has very small and precise movements. However, Mr. Norcross, you said this is about getting your blood flowing. You're right. So if you want to make these bigger, just warming up and make them more sloppy, go for it. Go for it. Who cares? Stop your cut at the center line. Don't go beyond that or you'll leave yourself open. So you have the side cuts. Then you have these upward cuts here. Some call these kiriage, upward cut. Diagonal, like golf swinging, left and right. Turning the blade upward toward the sky. Cutting from hip to shoulder. Here, cutting up, up, up toward the opponent. Stepping offline of their attack. Don't just stand here. Move your feet in circles. Use the ground as your ally. Hug the ground with your feet here. Cutting up. Here. Gyaku keisa. Right. Left. Side. Side. Diagonal. Diagonal. Tento. A lot of schools stop there, but you could argue, no, there's another. There's a straight up cut, a true kiriage, straight up, on the asterisk that you draw in front of you. Think of the matrix as a grid there. You could cut straight up under the opponent's groin from here. Straight up, up. Under the thighs of the armor, under the armpit, yeah. Here, under the butsumetsu, cutting straight up. You have to turn the blade. If you watch, as I rotate, the blade is not held fixed. The handle is loosely gripped, tight enough to hold. But you need this changing so that the blade goes up. Starting here, hands, blade goes up like a wheel. That's why when you hold the katana, it's here. It's not here. I need the rotation, like a mouse on your computer, the ball and the mouse. I need that rotation of the butt cap, the kashira here, to move in these small circles. Plus you can push with the end here. So everything involves mathematics here, diagonally, and then straight up for this kiriage. Depending on your school and teacher, they add another strike, which is the ski thrust, which is probably the most dangerous of all. So again, whether you're in Geiran no Kamae or Waki no Kamae, doesn't matter. From here, right foot forward, leaning into the opponent, drop your blade at the last second when he attacks. Out! Here, straight forward, into the throat or the eyes. You could hold it here, Ichi no Kamae, Kongo no Kamae here, and you're pushing forward into the opponent. Also do it with your left, hidari, left foot forward, the same, toward the opponent, closing the distance here. So to review, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then, so much. That's why we love this stuff. You think you're getting good at something. No, it just opens up into a whole other field. Well, this 8-directional cuts, happogiri, 9-direction, well, you go this way too. So you can just stick with one, a downward cut. Well, now you're surrounded by 8 directions, 8 opponents. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All this way with one cut, with one kamae. That's enough for a month right there. Then you do it upward, side to side, right-handed, left-handed, all of these. Then, when you get cocky, arrogant, you change weapons. Shoto, wakizashi. We used this last night in class. Now you're going to do it one-handed, here. One-handed from Seigan or Naka Seigan no Kamae here. Drawing your blade downward this way, right-handed, left-handed, here, being mindful of direction, different movements, moving into some ukenagashi here, as you cut side to side, left, right, waking up. Now adding footwork, moving offline as you cut, skiing in here. My point with this is we're only limited by our imagination. Don't worry about the names, don't worry about the stances unless you care to. This is about getting our blood flowing for a great day of training. We were here last night doing our classes on weapons, as well as our regular curriculum, plus the Tenchi Jin class, which is a class on the classical katas. Tonight we have classical Budo, where we visit the Gyokoryu unarmed combat. And then we also have regular classes. So we were talking last night about the power of meeting at a dojo, especially in this COVID crisis where people are stuck at home, out of work, no money coming in, unless you're lucky or you've prepared. Depression is setting in, anger is setting in, frustration, more YouTube watching, more Twitch watching, more television watching, more dependency on devices versus relationships. And I was watching, I'll put up a photo of last night's class, just watching the people gather to train, wearing our masks for safety, washing our hands, sanitizing, distancing as best we can. But the idea of going out into a community and just sitting in a room and talking is great for our spirit. It's great for our mental health. We are evolved to be social creatures. To be by yourself really damages you quickly. The idea of social interaction, whether it is without a mask or with a mask, it's hard to communicate, maybe through your eyes, and your voice is more important. But the whole point was I was so happy to see everyone just communicating, getting out of their house and saying, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Oh, I've had a bad day, or I'm worried about losing my job. Just expressing that keeps you from getting depressed and sad. It keeps it flowing, the communication to our fellow human beings who in general want our best interest and want us to be just as happy as they are. But sometimes what happens on the mats or off the mats before and after class is just as important with what you do with one of these. Getting together to practice a tool or a weapon is a social exercise, and it's something that cannot be underestimated, especially in these hard times of social isolation. I tell people, look, I'm getting a lot of calls lately because the video game Ghost of Tsushima is a sleeper hit. A lot of people are calling, I want to do sword classes, I want to do samurai classes. Well, yes, we do those, but our weapons rotate almost every week, and 99% of our curriculum is modern self-defense, or we take the old techniques and we work on them, but unarmed, because it's unlikely going to run into someone with a shoto out on the street. So if you're just interested in sword training, I don't know of any schools around here that just teach iaido or kenjutsu or kendo. There might be a couple, but I haven't heard of any, not in this area. But if you're serious about martial arts, you won't just like one weapon, you'll like them all. And you won't last, from my experience as a teacher in martial arts, if you just fall in love with one weapon type. Because it's so specific, when we stop doing the sword, you're going to quit. And you should not be, I don't want to say should not, but I'm telling you from experience, if you're excited from a video game to get involved in training, chances are you will quit after a while. Just like you bounce from game to game, you bounce from martial art to martial art. However, if the game was the catalyst that finally said, you know, I'm tired of playing my life, I want to actually do Ghost of Tsushima, I want to actually learn the katana and get better at martial arts, unarmed and with weapons, that might be the point where you want to call your local dojo and actually sign up. But if they don't do sword training, don't quit, don't give up. Embrace the other parts of the martial art. If you're desperate for weapons training and they don't offer weapons training where you live, well, you got to move to Ohio, to Cincinnati to come and train with me or one of my colleagues around, like I did with my teacher 20 years ago. But don't let someone stop your dreams. Because we're stuck indoors for so long, we have a lot of thinking to do, don't we? And our thoughts are often our worst enemy. But our thoughts can often inspire us to say, you know something, I'm tired of the way I'm living. And I'm tired of just being tired. I need to get out there and sign up someplace and go train. It doesn't have to be martial arts. It can be anything you want. Any type of outside activity. Yes, there's risk with COVID to go to the dojo, but there's risk walking out your front door. You could die a million ways just driving to work. But I can't sit idly by and watch my life disappear before my eyes. Because what happens is ageism sets in and you feel that you're too old to train, which is nonsense. We have students in their 60s and 70s here. Or you just think, hey, I'm too fat or whatever to do it, or I'm this sex or whatever gender. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you came from. As long as you can make the commitment to practice, the keiko, the practice, then you can do anything that you put your mind to. Let the sword cut through the ignorance and the fear that is the first thing that holds us back. The number one thing that people tell me, and that I know from experience that holds them back, is lack of confidence. Caped in fear. Fear that I can't do it. Fear that I'm too old, and whatever it is. And the lack of confidence is because I'm too caught up in my own thoughts, rather than putting effort forth into getting myself out of the house and going to my local dojo and being brave enough to walk in that door that first night and say, I'm interested in classes. May I take a class at your dojo? Never had a teacher say no. But the main thing that holds us back is that we just want to sit in our comfort zone because it's easy. But nothing in life that is ever worth doing is ever easy. It's always a struggle. It's always going to be hard. We're always going to fall and falter. We're always going to make mistakes. But if we have a sincere heart, this toshin, this sword over my heart, I can do it. I'm protected by the sword. And when someone tries to take it from me and they hold a sword over your heart, toshin, no, I will endure. I will persevere over that. And I will create my own living, my own purpose. Now I'm going on and on. This has nothing to do with sword cutting, or maybe it has everything to do with it. To me, they are intertwined. They are inextricably linked together. But for now, don't worry about the specifics of this. Just have fun cutting in the air with these 8 or 9 or even 10 directions. Then when you think you're getting there, practice with your other hand. Practice one hand, two hand. Practice with a spear, or at home with a rake or a shovel or whatever. A big piece of PVC pipe, a boken, a shinai, a suburito, anything you want. And then start to move around in space like chess. You want to move forward, backward, diagonally, naname. Left and right to the side, forward, backwards in space, up and down as well. From the ground, practice this. From kneeling, from a Hanza no Kamae, with your arm tied behind your back. It's limitless to our training, and it's only, again, limited by our own imagination. So my friends, practice that at home. Have fun with your training. I wish you the best, and I hope that somewhere, wherever you are, you can find some sort of social construct where you can get out and talk to people, and it'll really help us all feel better. Till next time, my friends, I'm going to go do some work, and then we're going to train again later. So have a great day. I wish you the best. Have a great day, my friends. Bye-bye.